everyone, I'm Pravati, and we're going to go over the Sludgefist encounter in Castle Nathria from a healer's perspective. Let's jump into the footage. Planning your healing rotation for Sludgefist is very straightforward. All of his abilities are extremely scripted and are going to happen at certain timers throughout the fight. There are 4 different abilities that you have to worry about, and those are just going to happen in sets of 5 if you're dealing with the wall slam, which you most likely will in progression. The wall slam itself is extremely high damage. You want to make sure all of your healers have something available for that wall slam at the very end. So I would highly recommend when you're going to determine your rotation, you start from the end of the fight and work forward. So you make sure everyone has everything available for that wall slam and then see where you can assign cooldowns by when they would be available from there. So work backwards to forwards instead of planning the rotation from the front of the fight down to the end, because you might not have everything available at that end. If you've killed this on heroic, then you already are pretty familiar with a lot of the mechanics. You have your Colossal Roar, your Hateful Gaze, Chain Slam. The new thing that you're going to have to deal with and not really plan for is the Seismic Shift in Mythic. So this is very light damage if done correctly. You don't need to assign anything for this new mechanic. It just needs to be managed in your raid properly so you're not overlapping your circles and causing extra damage. If nothing is overlapped, the damage is very light and can just be spot healed essentially. The big thing that you really need to worry about are the roars and the Hateful Gaze or the Pillar Slam. You're going to have 2 roars per pillar, and in between those roars you're also going to have the Chain Slam. In Mythic, you definitely want to have only 4 people maximum soak that Chain Slam to limit the amount of bleeds that go out. So you have those 4 people soak, they get yanked in, they get the bleed, you do some spot healing on them to make sure they can live through that bleed until it comes off. You want to assign this to mainly DPS characters. You can have some healers soak, but we did not have healers soak because it just interrupted prepping for a Colossal Roar or a Pillar Slam where your healer might be busy there. If your healer is about to have their healing CD come up and then they get yanked in, that can be very disruptive. So if you can, try not to have your healers soak that. So I'm going to play the video and I'm just going to go through the first 2 pillars to show you how we did our healing cooldowns with our healing comp. We had a priest, a paladin, druid, and 2 shamans. And then I'll skip ahead to the wall slam so you can see how massive that damage is. So right off pull, first roar. Each roar does not have to be excessively covered. So it's just 1 or 2 healing cooldowns depending on your heal comp. We covered that first roar mostly with a healing totem and or a mastery. So that was the Seismic Shift there. You can see everyone was spread out and it was pretty light damage. You can just spot heal there. Here's the Chain Slam going out. So you can see that went off on 2 hunters and a mage there. And a warlock. So we just got some hots up on them, make sure they can live through that, get them topped up. Another Seismic Shift, everyone spreads out, avoids the extra damage, it's very light. You get into the Pillar Slam, you're soaking here to make sure the fight goes properly, and boom, you have your Spirit Link on 2 of the groups. You can put some other totems there. Wall Totem works really well. You're going to have 2 groups that are not covered by the Spirit Link that you're going to need to do some extra spot healing on. The way we did it is that we made sure that the link went on to the ranged group, and the hunter group was the other group that we had soaking there. So it's just going to be your tanks and your melee that were in those other 2 groups that weren't covered. Since this fight is not melee friendly at all, those are very few people that you can just spot heal through. So again, you can see the abilities are just rotating through. There's our next chain slam. And we're getting ready. Last roar before the pillar. Get people topped up. And then if you have people spread out far away, use some movement abilities there. So you can see I used my roar. And then same thing, slink, wall on the 2 ranged groups, and then spot heals onto the melee. And that's it. You're just going to go through that rotation for each pillar slam until you get to the wall. And we're just going to skip ahead to the wall here. So you can see room can get very tight there for the seismic shift, so people might be overlapping and taking some extra damage. You just want to get everyone up as much as you can before you get to this pillar hit. So that's the last roar there. We lost a couple of people. We just got the reses off, got everyone up. And then we all stacked in onto the boss, made sure everyone was in a slink, everyone's in the wall totem, and just all the healers blow everything they have and just try to heal through this. You can see how much damage that is. If you manage to live, you kill the boss, collect your loot, and move on to Stone Legion. Did you like? Did you subscribe? You know what to do.